Beside him glided Caderousse, whose desire to partake of the good things provided for the wedding party had induced him to become reconciled to the Dante, father and son, although there still lingered in his mind a faint and unperfect recollection of the events of the preceding night, just as the brain retains on waking in the morning the dim and misty outline of a dream. As Danglars approached the disappointed lover, he cast on him a look of deep meaning, while Fernand, as he paced slowly behind the unhappy pair who seemed in their own unmixed content to have entirely forgotten that such a being as himself existed, was pale and abstracted. Occasionally, however, a deep flush would overspread his countenance, and a nervous contraction distorted his features, while, with an agitated and restless gaze, he would glance in the direction of Marseille, like one who either anticipated or foresaw some great and important event. Dante himself was simply, but becomingly, clad in the dress peculiar to the merchant service, a costume somewhat between a military and civil garb, and with his fine countenance radiant with joy and happiness, a more perfect specimen of manly beauty could scarcely be imagined. Lovely as the Greek girls of Cyprus or Chios, Mercédès boasted the same bright, flashing eyes of jet, and ripe, round coral lips. She moved with the light, free step of an Arlesian or Andalusian. One more practiced in the arts of the great cities would have hid her blushes beneath a veil, or, at least, have cast down her thickly fringed lashes, so as to have concealed the liquid lustre of her animated eyes. But, on the contrary, the delighted girl looked around her with a smile that seemed to say, "If you are my friends, rejoice with me, for I am very happy." Not a lot of action so far this chapter. Lots of characteristics of their dress and demeanor, which is cool. You know, we need some of this textured detail to paint out the world. Dante seems dressed in almost a military sort of garb. This put me in mind of people I know from the Navy who have gotten married in uniform. If you ever see wedding pictures of a military wedding, it's formal in a different kind of way. There's a certain pride to it, which is cool. And it seems like that's what Dante is kind of exuding here. This is not exactly military garb, but it is something between that and civil garb. But I don't think that takes away from his pride. And this is probably the best thing he owns to wear. So he is dressing to the nines, so to speak. I wonder what that phrase means. Maybe I'll look up that later. But I also flagged that, you know, Dante and Mercédès really just feel a little bit like they're in a Nicholas Sparks novel during this moment here. I can almost like picture the hearts in their eyes, and just everything else besides each other is just eclipsed. They do not see anything. And, you know, listen, I'm not married, but I have been a part of many wedding parties and know that those days it takes a monumental effort to stay connected to your partner or to what's happening in the moment, because you're thinking, you're outside your body, right? So I really appreciate and respect that Dante and Mercédès are just like, we're going to be right here with each other through this whole experience, and we will remember every single second of it. And if people want to join us in our happiness, that's great. We don't care otherwise. But then there's Fernand, who's just being obvious AF. Like, he's just hovering around people, but he's constantly got his eye out the window toward Marseille. It puts me in mind of the Hitchcock movie Rope, where they put the body in the chest that they are going to serve this platter of food on to an entire party, just for the thrills and kicks. I mean, that part's not like Fernand, but through the whole movie, they keep looking at the chest, knowing that the body's in there, kind of giving themselves away to a degree. So that's kind of what's going on here. Fernand just constantly looking toward Marseille, because he knows what he did. What's going to come of it? I don't know. I'm very curious, but it's in retrospect when if you're a detective trying to put this together and you hear, oh yeah, Fernand, he was just kind of looking out the window toward Marseille, like he was distracted and he was expecting, you know, something to happen at any given moment. You in retrospect go, well, that's interesting. Maybe I should probably follow up with that dude. Anyway, let's see where else this wedding party takes us as we continue chapter 5 tomorrow. I will see you here then. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.